Every year at this time, as I celebrate the Christmas holidays with family and friends, I can't help but think about my worst Christmas ever. It was 1981. I was 25 years old and in my first year of police work. It was early in the morning and I had just gotten a big gulp from the local 7-Eleven store. The dispatcher radioed and asked me to call the desk sergeant for an assist other department assignment. I went and found a phone booth and gave him a ring. The sergeant said he had received a call from the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. Early that morning, the Highway Patrol found a car in the brush along a freeway in Los Angeles County. Inside, they had located the body of a deceased man. It was a single vehicle accident that had occurred the night before. No one had reported or witnessed the accident. The coroner found the deceased man's driver's license, but they were having difficulty determining his current address. Apparently, he had not kept his driver's license or registration information current. A piece of mail was found in the car and it had an address in Anaheim. They asked if we could check and see if anyone might know the driver. After getting the necessary information, I responded to the address. The house was located in a densely packed neighborhood, one of those tiny one-bedroom homes located behind another house to the front. I checked the mailbox as I walked in and saw the name was different than the one I was being asked to check on. I wasn't expecting much success. I knocked on the door and a woman answered. Immediately I knew something was very wrong. Her eyes were red and swollen. It was obvious she had been crying. She raised her hands to her mouth in a look of shock and astonishment. I've never forgotten that look on her face. Early morning visit. I asked if she knew the person I had been asked to check on. She grabbed my arm and in a voice near hysterics, she asked me in Spanish, "What happened? Is he okay?" She added, "He's my husband. He didn't come home from work last night." It didn't help that I was left speechless. What was supposed to be a simple follow-up investigation had just turned into a death notification. I couldn't bring myself to blurt out her husband was dead, not on Christmas Day. I asked for my sergeant to respond and explained to her I had some things to check on. It was in the days before cell phones, so I used her phone to call the coroner's investigator back. He again confirmed the information. I asked her a few questions and there was no doubt it was her husband. By this time she was frantic and the children just sat quietly staring at me and then at their mother. My sergeant responded. He said we had no choice but to tell her what we knew. To this day, I don't recall what I said other than that we thought her husband had died in a traffic collision. Upon hearing the words, she dropped to the floor and began sobbing uncontrollably. She kept crying over and over again, saying, "It's not true, it's not true," and she pushed me away. The children started crying, the older sister holding on to her younger brother. At 25 years old, I wasn't ready for this. Death was still something very new to me. My heart was breaking for them. Eventually, she calmed a bit. She didn't want to talk to me anymore. I didn't blame her. We contacted a neighbor in the front house and asked for her help. She was an older Spanish-speaking grandmotherly type, and she immediately took charge. She held the woman in her arms and just let her cry. Eventually, when things settled down, the neighbor was able to contact other family members who were on their way. It was 1981. We had no police chaplain program, no crisis response teams. All we had was a caring neighbor to help us out. It was hours before I was able to leave. I got to my patrol unit and sat there for a minute, taking a sip of my now watered down and warm big gulp. It was Christmas Day. I still had a whole work shift to work, and it was my worst Christmas ever.